to Anime Apocalypse, where a major weeb tries to turn his two friends into weebs like himself. This show will contain spoilers, incorrect information, and adult language. Our hosts are not experts on any topic, and things they say will be opinions and should not be perceived as fact. Thank you for listening, and enjoy.
Hello, and welcome to Anime Apocalypse, the show where I try to turn my two friends into weebs like myself.
We here at Anime Apocalypse would like to remind you, you can't spell advertisements without semen between the tits.
I'm Lane.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Nathaniel.
Guys, we're back with the second week of our podcast here. We watched a pretty good show last week. If you guys remember, we got the treat to watch Snafu. I thought it was a treat. I love that show so much. I know Nate wasn't the biggest fan.
Yeah, I can tell you like it, but was not my cup of tea. I'm really hoping that this week, will be a little bit better, maybe a little bit more action-y, a little bit more less fan servicey.
Okay. Now, guys, I have a little bit of a treat for you guys this week, all right? So, I actually don't have an anime picked out to watch this week.
Oh.
What?
No.
Forgot the plan.
No. I didn't forget the plan. We're just doing. I figured we'd do a little something different. I'm giving you guys the choice.
The power.
Now.
The power's in my hands.
Now, you guys do not get all the power. Now, there's a little bit of a trick behind it. I have 3 very, very short anime descriptions, and you guys are going to eliminate one of the 3, and then I'll give you a little bit bigger of a description of the 2 that are remaining. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to keep it. You guys have to eliminate one, and then you have to discuss between the 2 of you, and you have to pick one of the remaining 2. So
Gotcha.
I'm gonna give you guys the first. I'm gonna give you guys the first one. So I have 3 words written down for each of these. Well, 3-ish words, I guess.
Big fucking titties.
But that's all I'm giving you guys to work off of, and then you two will have to discuss between yourselves which one we're gonna watch this week. So for the very first one, I have mystery, science, thriller. And then for number 2, we have psychological drama and supernatural. And then the third one, action, mystery, thriller. So between those 3, you guys have to eliminate one. And then you guys will have to talk and figure out which one you guys want to do between the 2.
Gotcha. I'm just going to say, I heard psychological and I got a little bit bricked up. So I think that second one is a definite lock-in for me.
I feel that one.
Or not eliminating that one. Could you give me the rundown on the first one again, Lane?
The first one is a mystery science thriller.
And what's the third one?
And the third one is it's an action mystery thriller.
I kind of want to get rid of that first one, though, to be fair. I don't know about you, Nathaniel.
I think so, too. I think strike the first one.
So we're getting rid of the first one. Okay, so you guys have to choose between psychological drama, supernatural, or action, mystery, thriller.
I don't know. That's like a logical kind of makes me a little bit hard.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually like the sound of that one, to be fair, as well, just because I like the shit that fucks with my brain, to be fair.
Yeah. I do too. I like those mind fuck.
Are we
exactly, bro.
Are we locking it in?
I think so.
Hell yeah, brother. Let's go for it.
Yes, you guys fell for the trap. Yes. Okay, so to clarify, I left out a couple keywords for these 3 anime. Now the keywords that I left out for the first one is no. First one is not rom-com, but the first one, how do I describe it? I'll give you Red Jacket Girl for that one. and I'm gonna save the one you picked for last. But the third one, the word I didn't give you guys because I knew you guys would guess, is gangs. So,
Psycho.
it is not. It is not Mob Psycho. But that was the next one. And now this one, I had to leave out a couple key words because I knew if I included these words, Nate, I knew you would not pick it. And I was hoping that you guys would fall for the trap, and luckily you fell for the trap. So, okay, first off, do we have any guesses? First off,
I'm guessing a rom-com after this bricked up.
it's not a rom-com. It's not a rom-com.
Thank God.
Thank
Thank
God.
But
Wow.
the key words I left out were romance and bunny girl.
Oh God.
I swear to God, this is Bunny Girl Senpai, bro.
This week we are watching Shishun Buta Yaru wa Bunny Girl Senpai. Otherwise in the English, Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
So I don't know about you, Nathaniel. I have actually already seen this entire anime. I know Lane definitely has, but I've already seen this. I don't know if you've seen this, and I don't know what you're going to expect. I don't think it's a bad anime. All I know is I'm going to give you a note. After I watch this anime, being the kind of person I am with this kind of rom-com stuff, I quit watching anime after this one. It's that bad.
It is.
No, see,
Oh man. Okay, Nate, you go.
I have not seen it. I have heard very good things about it from both Lane and my brother. I remember when I was horny 14-year-old Nathaniel looking through anime, I almost watched it, but I did not because I had restraint. So I guess horny 14-year-old Nathaniel's finally gonna have to watch it. So.
Indeed, you are. Now, Aaron, I did know that you had it on your list, and it is one that me and you we're gonna kind of tag team. We're gonna give good old Nathaniel here a good time. But from what you remember about the show, Aaron, what would you say the show's about? What's the plot? What's the premise? Without giving too much away, because this show is very, very mindfucky at times.
Yes.
So try to leave out as much as you can because I want him to experience that for the first time. But kind of give him the rundown of what's going on, what's the plot. But yeah.
All right, so I guess the plot is this character imagines, air quotes, this girl in a bunny girl costume. But that bunny girl costume, technically, it doesn't play a big role. It does, but it doesn't. It plays a big role in her part of what she's trying to get done and what she's trying to figure stuff out with. But overall, it's another in-school anime with a little bit of a romance going on. And I will say, again, there's some episodes in this anime that fucked me up. In particular, one about that has to do with studying. I don't know if we actually had a chance to watch that one in the first 5 episodes. I don't remember exactly how far down the line that one is, but God, that episode alone fucked my brain so hard. I don't know if I even finished this anime, to be fair. I don't actually remember what the ending is, but this anime is, again, like I said, the reason I took a break from anime was because I can't do this anymore. This hurts. But yeah, I think overall you might not like it, Nathaniel, but you also might question some things. It's like, what the hell? But it is a good anime overall. Again, a plot line. This man sees someone that technically, I don't know if this is considered a spoiler, but technically no one else
Whoa,
sees.
if it's almost a spoiler, don't say it.
I don't know if it is. Technically,
Okay.
it's the whole storyline.
But he got it right there, basically. But we have our main 2 characters, Azugawa Sakuta, which is like the main character. He's the male protagonist, and then
Her name's Mai, isn't it?
Yeah, her name's Mai, and I'm not even gonna try the last name for her because I can't get
Let me
it.
see. I'm gonna give a.
Yeah, you got it.
Gotta go with
But
this.
Nate, this show is about. Have you ever heard of puberty syndrome?
Oh.
I've heard of puberty.
Okay, but puberty syndrome is basically it's a rare disease which only affects teenagers, and it causes supernatural things to happen. So that's It's not. It's just like the premise of this show, or at least
I was about to say,
it's not actually a thing. It's a myth. Like some people do think that it is like an actual thing. Now for this show, we will be watching 5 episodes. There is a total of 13 episodes as long as a movie to finish it off. So we will unfortunately not get to those this time around. Now, if we do a revisit or whatever, we possibly could get to it. But Nate, after hearing the one more thing, this show doesn't all like the main purpose of this show isn't the romance, which is a reason why I think you would actually not mind it, because like the romance thing, it does play a part in like some points, but like the bigger thing is like the mystery and the supernatural stuff behind it. So that's why I think you actually might enjoy this one, because it's not all about romance and then like them taking literally 24 episodes to even like hold hands or something. So
that's appreciated. We'll actually be able to get a little bit more in this show than last show.
Yeah. But Nate, what are your first thoughts on this?
I mean, it's a romance. I'm just not the biggest fan of romance, so that's a little bit of a disappointment because I was hoping for some other than romance this week.
Yeah, I gave you the choice. I will say the other two.
You knew how many conversations we've had about how much I love psychological horror movies.
And
you intentionally put psychological in there because you knew I would pick it.
Now, yes, I did play a trick on you, but I am nice, but I'm not that nice. And I tried to pull you in with the other ones with action, mystery, thriller. Like I tried to throw in some words that like would try to like attract you to that one, but the psychological one, it just drew you in, and I'm glad it did, because like I said, I think you will enjoy this show, Nate. But yeah, I guess we'll definitely have to see. But what are your first thoughts on it?
I think I'm hoping it's good. You've hyped it up. My brother's hyped it up. Looking forward to it since it is psychological. I do like me some good psychological stuff. I don't know how I actually thought the psychological or puberty syndrome was actually a thing for a second there, because you said supernatural, and I don't know why I actually went. That's a thing. It's been a long day. I'm allowed to mix up like that.
It has been a long day.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be good. I will be roasting any and all fan service I see in it, though.
I will say they're the thing is the show is called Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl. You only see the bunny girl outfit like twice, I think. And like the very first time is like it gets explained really well on why exactly she's doing it. Yeah. So it's not like fan service. Now there is one time when it is kind of fan service, but other than that, it actually does like it doesn't. It's not just her walking around in a bunny girl outfit 24/7 in the show. But with that, you guys want to take any guesses on how this is doing on Mal?
I'm sure it's up there.
At least 8.9.
In the top 200, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like the rating's like 8.9 something, so it's definitely in the top 200 at least.
So with a Mal rating of 8.27 with 1.4 million reviews, that's where it's sitting. It's currently sitting at 260.
Oh,
not bad.
So you're pretty close. I will say this is the second highest rated of the 3 that I had written down. This is the second highest of the 3. So I think you will like it, Nate. But any last thoughts before we go ahead and jump into watching some of this?
I guess I'm just pretty traumatized having to go back through this again.
Hey, we're only watching 5 episodes, unless there's that rare case that we watch more. But
you're giving Aaron PTSD here.
I feel like it's one of those scenarios where I'm like seeing my ex-girlfriend for the first time in forever, and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, this is either the anime that like fucked my brain up the most, or the second most that fucked my brain up. But
yeah, I agree, bro.
yeah, it's very mindfucky, and like I said, Nate, don't focus on the romance aspect of it because it's not really focused on. Besides, like a little bit, there is a little bit of romance, I will tell you. So like, obviously, you're gonna see some of it, but focus on the other things and like focus on like the puberty syndrome and like what's going on with that stuff. Really focus on that stuff, and yeah, I think you will get your brain picked for sure.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
I guess
But-
one more thing to add though, is you're gonna notice a sort of a very close relation from this anime to the last one I watched, in a sense that each episode has its own theme, I guess, and own thing built around it. It's not gonna be the same thing every episode.
But where's the beach episode?
Later on, I
Yeah.
think it's later on
Yeah,
actually.
I think there is one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there pretty sure there is one. Yeah.
yeah.
Of course.
But with that, guys, let's go watch some Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. From here on out, there will be massive spoilers, adult topics, hot takes, and far too many fan service complaints. Remember to buckle up and enjoy the ride.
And we are back after watching 5 whole episodes of Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. Guys, what do we think? Aaron, I know you've already seen it in the past, but Nathaniel, this was a first time for you. I know we watched a couple emotional-ish episodes, but yeah, let's hear you guys' thoughts on it.
Honestly, like, yeah, as you said, I've seen it before. I think I was more emotionally more traumatized the first time. Second time, I think I was more numb to it because I already knew what to expect overall. But honestly, I think still this is one of my more top favorites. Episode 1 honestly isn't overly bad. It kind of sets the tone, sets the baseline, including on how Sakata is very interesting with his emotions and his personality, as he jokes a lot about sexual stuff. I don't think he's doing it to be sexual. I think he's just more so doing it to make people uncomfortable. And as we see through the show, I know technically it works because a lot of people are like, oh, what the fuck? But yeah, episode 1, he kind of gets introduced to Mai-san, and of course, I don't know if we can really fully go into detail on spoilers and shit, but he meets her in a library. Yeah, true. He meets her in the library. She's wearing a bunny outfit. We don't really fully understand why until they start connecting through this episode, in which case it's because she is actually invisible to everyone. Of course, not in the school at this point. She's invisible to everyone, and she's wearing something very outlandish and crazy because it's something that, like, if you can see them, it would draw a lot of attention because she's wearing a very I don't know what the actual word is. Something clad, scantily clad, slightly clad, or something. But yeah, she's wearing very skimpy clothing.
Scantily clad.
That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Yeah, she's very scantily clad, in what she's wearing. That would draw attention. But yeah, we find out about that, about the whole adolescent syndrome through that first episode, and it was a good baseline. I think, again, like I said, one of my favorite series is, and I think the first episode was good. The animation wasn't overly bad, but the big thing I'll note is, even though it's not drawn, it's not overly sexualized, there are still a ton of interesting shots that look at women's asses and thighs and chests and things. I don't know about what your thoughts are on that, Nate, but it was different.
So picking up where he left off, I'm not. I've said this in the first episode. I'm not the biggest fan of fan service. I think that it's overdone. I didn't think it was as bad in this show as it was in the previous show, surprisingly, because like the bunny girl outfit she wears in the library, it had a point for it being there. It wasn't like we're going to have our main female character in this skimpy outfit for no reason, like the maid outfit scene from Snafu, but there was a real reason she was wearing it, because she wanted people to look at her because no one could see her, so she was wearing the most skimpy thing she could find so that everyone would look at her, but the only person that saw her was our main character, so there was a point for it being there. So I didn't think it was as bad as the last show we watched with fan service. Fan service was still there. I thought it was better in this one because there was more of a point to it being there. Other than that, first episode, like I always like to touch on what I think about the opening and closing on the first episode. I find the song was pretty good for the opening. The animation was kind of eh. Not a whole lot going on in it. Closing, I found the closing really good. It was
I
really
agree.
kind of a pretty song. I think the only animation we really got was the ocean, though. It's been a while since I watched the first episode, so I can't say a
Yeah.
whole lot for what the closing looked like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just the
But
ocean, and then you get a little bit more of. I think it depends on which adolescence syndrome, or which person they're kind of focusing on. So I think like the first
Yeah.
3 episodes, it's Maison, and then after that, it kind of depends on like the storyline. So like the second one would have been I'm having a think.
I don't remember what her name was, but we just
Reina?
it was yeah,
Yeah.
No, not Raina. Raina's her friend. It was the
Oh,
chick that
is
he
it
ended up
is it
fake dating.
is it Tomo? No.
I don't
I
Tomoe.
don't
Yeah,
remember.
Tomoe. I think it's Tomoe.
Mhm.
I think.
Yeah.
And then I think she's in the next couple episodes, and then depending on which person they're covering for the episodes, I think that's who's in the ending. So it does change
Yeah, that's
a little
that's
bit.
also why if you listen to the actual song on YouTube, they actually cut it down. Actually, where the first few lines are gonna be my second 2 lines are gonna. Like, they actually have it so each individual character sings a portion of the song, just to show that
Interesting.
Huh.
they did that exact thing.
That's pretty cool.
But I
Mhm.
think right off the rip on this show, just the first episode, I was way more into it than the last show that we watched, just because it was very intriguing, kind of like people not being able to see her. The opening shows that he like was writing this journal about a girl, but it's like her name was all fuzzy, like he couldn't see her name. So very intriguing to me. Like the supernatural psychological stuff is going to be way more interesting to me than like the rom-com stuff that we had with the previous episode. But I there was some I just went on about how I thought the fan service was better in this show than the last one, but it was still kind of needlessly horny. A few parts, like he was constantly making sex jokes.
Hmm.
Um, I wrote down a joke in my notes because his little sister's name is Kaide, and she hates like she does not talk, like she has trouble communicating when she was at school and whatnot. So I just wrote down Kaide can't communicate. Um,
Oh yeah.
which is a joke of a different show that we have not
Mhm.
watched yet. I'm sure
Co-
Lane will make us watch it in the next few
Comey can't
weeks.
communicate. Comey
Yeah.
is
Yep.
very good. Comey is a
Yeah.
very good show.
And then I also wrote down that just like last episode, we had Whack Donald's instead of McDonald's. In this show, he works at Benny's instead of Denny's.
Yep.
So I found that funny. But yeah, so I'll pick up the next episode. Basically, more and more people can't see her. Like, in that episode, the big thing that happens is that even her mom can't see her because she calls her mom at one point and she's like, hey, we need to meet because her mom's her manager, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And then, like, they meet up at the beach and she walks right past her daughter and then talks to our main character. And she's like, why'd you call me out here? And he's like, I didn't call you, your daughter called you. And she's like, I don't have a daughter. Because, like, it's not just that people can't see her, like, even the memories of her being there, people don't even remember her because she's like this. She's not a movie star, but she's been in commercials. She's been in like soap operas
Yeah, she's
and
in the
whatnot.
she's in the showbiz.
Yeah, so people like she's a celebrity, but like he'll go around and be like, "Hey, do you remember that girl that was in that one show that everyone watched?" And everyone's like, "Who are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So it's not just that people can't see her; people are literally forgetting her. Even her mom forgets about her. So I thought that was a really like hard hitting emotional moment.
Yeah.
And then he like they go on like this mini vacation somewhere. They miss a day of school.
Mhm.
And he can't go to sleep all night because like he's just thinking so hard about stuff. And then he goes back to school and no one even at school can see her now. That was like the one place that people could still see her was school. No one can even see her at school now. So he talks to his science friend. I believe her name is Futaba.
Mhm.
And he's like, why is it that only me and you can remember her now? And Futaba tells him it's because we're the only people that didn't fall asleep last night. So then he starts forcing himself to stay awake all the time so
like,
that
it's like for
he
like
will
3
remember.
days.
Yeah. So that he will remember her. He does not want to fall asleep because Futaba falls asleep the next night and then she can't remember her either. So he's like, well, that's it. So he tries to keep himself up. He's like drinking Monster energy drinks overnight. He's like just forcing himself to stay awake. He's like poking himself with a pencil so they won't fall asleep during school. But like his grades are going down the toilet because he's so exhausted when school is happening. And finally, she like basically drugs him by giving him like melatonin or something crushed up in tea.
She gave him sleeping pills. It did show it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sleeping pills.
Yep. She gave him sleeping pills so that he finally goes to sleep. He wakes up the next day, doesn't remember her. And I believe that was the end of the second episode, is him waking up. So I'll let Aaron talk about what he thought.
I will also say, I think we got a couple episodes messed up because he didn't do that until 3. 2 was just them two dating and trying to find out why she's not going to showbiz. Yeah, 3 is when I just had to look up the summary myself because it's been a while. But it's 3 that happens. 2 is pretty much just the whole premise is wondering why she's not in showbiz. This is when they do find out that everyone pretty much forgets who she is, besides the school starting off.
Do you want to cover kind of what adolescent syndrome is? I don't know if we kind of that's like the big thing about this show.
Yeah,
I'll grab that.
Yeah,
you finish episode 2, then I'll explain it.
Yeah, I gotcha. So technically, episode 2 is them just hanging out, spending time together. They're not dating. I mean, technically, they're not dating until like later on. Anyway, but yeah, he finds out why she's not in showbiz, but tries to like kind of convince her, like, hey, like if you enjoy it, you should really do this. Like, don't hold yourself back because it's you don't want to do it or anything kind of scenario. And he kind of in the end kind of convinces her to go back into showbiz. We don't really fully find out about that until later on that she decides, yeah, I'll do it. But yeah, overall, yeah, they do know though that it is based on this adolescent syndrome, which I'll now let Nathaniel kind of pick up on what that really is.
Okay, so basically what adolescent syndrome is in this show is it's like this weird supernatural thing that happens to some characters like when they're in their puberty. It's like our main character has like these giant like claw marks like across his chest that I can't remember the reason he got them.
We find out later on,
truly. You don't know the entire backstory of it. It's kind of like a thing that gets explained later on for like more backstory. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But like his sister, she doesn't go to school anymore because when she was going to school, like people were saying nasty things about her online, and then like because of this, like cuts were showing up all over her body, so she quit going to school. And then the one that's happening to her is that people are not seeing her basically because I think the reason is like since she was so famous, like people recognize her everywhere. She kind of started wishing that people no longer recognized her, and then because of that, now no one recognizes her or remembers her or even sees her. So like she's having trouble like getting food because here's one of the plot holes. I'll get into that in a second. She's having trouble getting food because like people at like restaurants and whatnot don't see her, so they can't serve her. Here's my problem with that.
Just steal it.
Exactly. It's like if you are invisible.
Okay, I didn't think you were gonna go there, Nate, but okay.
If you are invisible, like if you go to a farmer's market, and she even explains it that anything that she touches turns invisible.
Mm-hmm.
So she can go to like a farmer's market, a McDonald's back room, whatever, and just like pick up a cheeseburger or like a cucumber or something. No one's gonna see it. No one's gonna know that it was taken. It's invisible. She can just take it and eat it. Why is she having trouble getting food? She can just steal it. That's what I don't understand.
I get you.
Anyway, before I go on a longer tangent, Aaron, you pick up somewhere.
Okay, so I think we pretty well covered episode 2. Overall, it was just kind of to further the progression of the relationship that was starting to build up between Maya and Sakata. And that leads into episode 3, which is kind of, I think, when I did watch this the first time, that was one of my most unfavorite episodes.
Yeah, this is like one of the painful episodes watching it the first time. If you get really invested into the show, this is like one of the most painful episodes.
It really is. I'm the kind of person, I think I said this in the first episode as well, I get attached to characters and their connections and like the romances that build up between characters, and just seeing like the romance build up between so actually just to clarify, just go back to how the episode goes, they work through, this is actually the thing that Nathaniel was kind of discussing earlier, it's they go through the entire thing, and they're like, okay, well, what if we take her away from school and see if the people in school forget? And then and then they find out that she or he and Futaba, one of their friends, who's like a science person, they both stay up, so they didn't forget about her. Everyone else on their hand did, and so no one in school can see her besides those two. And this all is happening during their midterms, which, if you don't know anything about midterms, which I'm assuming you do,
Everyone knows about midterms.
Yeah, everyone should know about midterms. Everyone should know, but it's 3 or 4 long days of studying and tests and everything, and so they both, or Futaba and Sakata, both stayed up one extra night. They remembered. And they kind of had a theory of, well, what if it's because we slept? And you wait. He's staying up late. He didn't actually end up going to bed a couple days in a row, and Futaba finally did, and he notices that she forgot, and he's like, "Yep, you're right." And he tries as he might to stay up as long as he can. Drinks energy drinks, takes sleep gets adrenaline pills or some sort of caffeine pill to keep himself up, and in the end, she sees that he's doing that, and this is where it kind of hit me more so, just because I'm like, oh my god, like, she's accepting this, and she's like, it's okay. She's like, it's okay. I was alone from the start. I can handle it again. Gives him sleeping pills. He falls asleep, wakes up, forgets, and then he goes through the whole scenario of just going back through his daily routine again until, as he's going through one of the tests, he remembers some of the stuff that this girl, or Maya at this case, was helping him study for, and then he remembers her. And he kind of starts crying, actually, because he finally remembers her and wishes she were back and wish he could see her again. And he goes out into the courtyard and screams at the top of his lungs how much he loves Mai, and ends up bringing her back so he could see her, and the school can finally see her again, because they finally he had to profess his faith, his love, and he also had to go against the atmosphere, so to speak, because that's what the whole scenario is. They're like, yeah, they talk about the atmosphere quite a lot as to why she was forgotten initially. And yeah, so that whole episode is just about them reconnecting because of the loss of her through forgetfulness and the sleep, I guess. But overall, this episode hit me hard when she specifically gave him the sleep medication, because she seemed like she was okay with it, even though I know she wasn't. But overall, it sucked the first time, second time not as much. But I'll let Nathaniel say what he had to say about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think I already went over quite a bit of it because I forgot where second episode into third episode began. But, like, in this episode, you even see that animals can't see her as well. Like, she, like, tries to pet a dog, and the dog just walks past as well, which that actually was, like, a very big part for me, like, seeing that, because it's such a small part, but it really hits home that it's, like, now, at this point, like, no one can see her. Like, humans can't see her. Her mom forgot about her in the previous episode. Not even animals can't see her. So she's truly by herself now, besides Rascal. But I already talked about a lot of the episode. I wrote down cringe declaration of love, because, like, when he goes out into that schoolyard and just, like, he just starts screaming so the whole entire school can hear him confess his love. And, like, that's already cringe. Like, if that happened in real life, very cringe. But, like, just the fact that until, like, the end of it, no one can remember her. They're like, who is this dipshit? Who is he talking about? So I found that kind of cringe. And then she shows up and is like, why are you being such an idiot? And then everyone's like, why are these two idiots down there? So I found it a little bit weird, the way they had everyone remember her. It's like, basically he has to defeat the whole entire atmosphere of people forgetting about her to, like, have everyone remember her. So he does this, and he reverses the atmosphere by, like, screaming to everyone in the school that he loves her. But, like, the thing is, why does that change the whole entire public view of her, and now everyone can see her? Why isn't it just the people at school can now see her again?
So,
because, like, after this episode, she goes back into showbiz, which means now everyone can see her again.
yeah. So, what this show is about is our main character and the side characters. It's them working together to figure out how to solve these supernatural events, or as they're calling them, adolescent syndrome. So the entire show is going over these different, like, supernatural things that are happening to the different characters, and it's them working on trying to figure out how to fix it. So then the supernatural stuff goes away and everything goes back to normal. So I can't tell you the exact reason on why it happened, but that's kind of like what the story was saying is like she needed. I think like I mean I'm trying to remember, but I think what her thing was is that she needed somebody to love her because I don't think she has a relationship with her dad, and like her mom was just using her as of her showbiz. So I think like her thing that got her out of the adolescent syndrome was that she just needed somebody to love her, like love her for her, not for her like showbiz. Like she just needed somebody to love her, and that got her out of the adolescent syndrome. And what this show is all about is getting these characters out of the adolescent syndrome and figuring out how to get it going, and that's how the story progresses. And then with that, the relationships they build, like we like later on in the show, you even see Mai and our main character Sakuta get a lot closer. They build the relationship. They do start dating. And seeing the character growth and everything, I think this show does really well. You haven't seen a ton of it yet, but even in the short 13 episodes, you do see it. And then on top of the movie, which is heart-wrenching if you haven't seen it, it is actually one of the saddest things. But yeah, that's kind of, I hope that answers your question, but
It does.
it's just them figuring out how to get rid of this supernatural stuff that's happening.
Gotcha. So, the end of what I'm going to say about episode 3 is I can say after this episode, I kind of lost interest just because I was hoping that it was going to be like this slow devolving into like everyone forgetting about her, like everyone, including him. I thought that was going to be like, the final episode is that like even he forgets about her or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was going to be like the slower psychological devolving into that. But like everyone remembers her at the end of this one, and then the next episode is about something completely different. So like after episode 3, I really lost interest,
Okay.
just because like the big thing that I was interested in and that was very intriguing. They just are like, yeah, that's resolved. Move on to the next thing. So I can jump into episode 4 now. It was what was her name? Tomoe is what we decided on, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I guess you
Tomboy.
don't learn about her till later in the episode, but basically, he like lives out this day, and in the morning he watches the news with his sister, and they're talking about how the Japanese like soccer team won like a championship, and then he goes to school, and like certain stuff happens in like his class, and then like he goes and like talks to Mai is her name, right?
Yeah, my
Yep.
son.
Yeah, Mai. And then like the day ends, right? And then he wakes up the next morning and he watches the news with his sister. They're talking about the Japanese team winning the championship. He goes to school. Certain things happen in his class. He goes and has lunch with Mai. It's the same exact conversation they had the day before. So he realizes that he's in like this time loop of it's the same day over and over again. So basically Groundhog Day, if any of you have seen that.
I have not.
And you haven't?
I have not seen Groundhog Day. I have no idea what that
Been
is.
a while. That's with
Have you
Bill
watched-
Murray.
Yeah. Have you watched Happy Death Day?
No, okay, guys. I'm gonna be honest. Since COVID, I haven't watched like anything that is an anime. I've seen actually probably close to 1,000 episodes of anime in
Gosh,
2
darn.
years. Like
That's crazy.
the only things I have watched that aren't anime are a couple of movies, and that's it. Otherwise, if I'm watching any sort of TV, it's anime. Like I fell into a cycle, and like there was a couple weeks and times where I was literally watching like 4 to 8 animes in like 2 weeks. So
I could never.
Yeah,
I would go crazy. Anyway, so back on track. Living in a time loop. Same things happening every day. So he goes and talks to Futaba, the science girl. And he's like, what's going on? And she's like, well, this is the first time I'm living this day. So I don't know what you're talking about. But she tells him it's like there's this thing called Laplace's Demon, I believe is what it was called.
Lapale.
Yeah,
Demon.
something
Yeah,
like that.
close enough.
That it's like they're the reason that he's stuck in this time loop. So once he finds her and then he fixes her problem, or not her, but their problem, then he will be able to get out of the time loop and go on with his life. So then he finds the problem. It's Tomoe. She wants to be like popular and fit in, but this basketball guy is like asking her out, and she really doesn't want to go out with him. So like she keeps saying yes, and that's why the time loop happens, is because she really doesn't want it, but she's doing it anyway because she's just trying to fit in. So she does that. Time loop happens. He finds her. They get her out of it, but in doing so, he also misses the lunch with Mai that he was supposed to have, and that's where he like asked her out on like their first date or whatnot. So he wasn't able to have that because he helped Tomoe instead. But it gets her out of the time loop, and then the next day, time keeps going forward. He talks to the science chick. She's like, "Yeah, you probably found the demon. That's why you're out of the loop." And he's like, "Is it gonna loop again?" And she's like, "Possibly." But I'm pretty sure that's all that happens in that episode. I could be wrong. I have like 0 notes for that episode because, like I said, I lost interest. But I'll let you up.
The only other thing that that was pretty big in that episode is the true way they get her out of the time loop is to stop the guy from asking her out.
Oh yeah,
they make her seem like she's dating someone else. So in essence, they make it they fake date and make it seem like her and Sakata are dating, which does kind of screw things over for him and Mai, just because there was gonna be them two originally, but they can't technically date in person or like in public because otherwise it kind of destroys the whole thing between him, and Tomoe, and then the whole time loop thing can happen again. But overall, I think. My big thing is this episode, last episode, and of course the next episode, episode 5, are the 3 that really hit me or hurt me the most, or like killed me the most in terms of this anime. Just because I wasn't a big fan of introducing a new romance. In terms of Sakata, I was pretty pleased and okay with the whole Mai and Sakata situation, and of course that does end up going through as we said later on. But this part is just like, oh, it's less of that part, but. Overall, this episode wasn't too bad. I was just upset and broken by the time loop because having seen other animes that are very similar to that, and having to see how they all dealt with it, it's like I hate that cliche. I hate that whole scenario that those animes have put into place, including this one, just solely because like it's just hell on Earth. You're like living through hell multiple days in a row. But overall, this episode wasn't bad. I guess it led into what Lane was talking about, how we're introducing the new characters, introducing the new adolescent syndrome developments, and trying to figure out how to fix them all. And I guess that leads into episode 5, though. Episode 5 is, I would consider that kind of a connection or a continuation of episode 4 in a sense, because episode 4 they talked about going on a date, Tomoe and Sakata. Just to prove that they're dating, and that's where episode 5 kind of comes into play. There's no really adolescent syndrome in episode 5. Again, it's just more them two dating, fake dating, going on dates, and they talk about how they're gonna fake break up and everything once vacation came in, which of course in Japan is like 2 weeks. Which is I living in America, I don't think I could handle that, to be honest. But
yeah,
it happens
exactly.
over there.
Like, at one point in the 5th episode, it's like July 7th, and they're still at school, and I'm like, "Fuck that, bro!"
Yeah, I
don't want to
they're,
go to school in July.
They do school like year round, except
Yeah.
they just do like a lot of breaks. They
have like 2-week breaks between.
Yeah, they have a couple week long breaks for like the holiday seasons. They have a couple weeks off for each of them, and then they go through the like your schooling life in Japan it's crazy.
It's
with how
it's
they
nuts.
do stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, no, they're still back on the things. Yeah, they're still in school through July 6th, which again is nuts. But yeah, they're doing that. They're going out and everything, and you can clearly tell that him with Tomoe is kind of affecting how Maya is acting. Just because she's like, hey, just make sure that, like, I think she's worried that it's gonna develop further, which at some points it almost felt like it was going to in terms of Tomoe. But you can also see the relationship between Tomoe and Sakata affected Sakata a little bit, because there was a moment when he was gonna call up Mai at the end of the day like he was usually doing, but he like goes for the phone, and leaves it like entirely. And he just so I think that he was like kind of just upset because he knew he was affecting her too. But episode 5 wasn't bad. It does, I think, in terms of the anime, there was a lot more action, a lot more stuff developing. Like watching episode 5, knowing that was our last one we are gonna watch for this, at least this episode, it made me think about all the other stuff that we're missing out on. Include like it was just nuts. But yeah, episode 5 was a good cliffhanger to leave it on though for if we're gonna come back and revisit this episode. But what did you end up thinking of episode 5 there, Nathaniel?
I will say I thought episode 5 was a lot better than episode 4. I thought the character building was really good in that one, just because of how Rascal is having to like give up Mai for the time being, just so that the fake dating with Tomoe looks real. The character building for Tomoe I thought was really good. Like I think I told you guys after we'd done watching, I think Tomoe is probably my favorite character. After that 5th episode.
Dang, really?
Just because it's like I think she's the best built character so far. Rascal's just a horny 24/7 kind of guy. Mai's just a like kind of a bitch. Like she's just giving Rascal the cold shoulder all the time, just playing this quiet game with him, and it's like she's just annoying. Rascal's just horny. So out of all the characters, like I think Tomoe's my favorite one.
Okay, makes sense.
But it I did find one part in this episode kind of odd though, because she sees a friend from school down below while they're on one of their dates, and she's like, she doesn't look too happy, let's go see what's going on with her. So they go down there, ask her, and she's like, yeah, I lost my phone charm. So then like Rascal like instantly sees it, and Tomoe like runs over to grab it, and then she falls down into like a little bit of ocean water because they're right next to the ocean. They're on a beach. And then like the next day she's in the nurse's office for having a cold, and it's like, how do you get a cold for falling into the ocean for like half a second?
You'll see that a lot in anime.
Yeah.
Like if they don't like dry off, like after getting wet, a lot of I don't know why it's a thing, but apparently like if you don't dry off, you just get sick. Because like it's a big thing like on like rainy episodes, like if they don't have an umbrella, you know, like
I've seen that.
It shows up in a lot of anime.
But who gets a cold that quickly?
I don't know, but you'll see it a lot in a lot of anime. If you get if you get wet and you don't dry off like right away, a lot of the times like the next episode they'll be sick or something.
Weird.
It's a thing that just happens in a lot of anime.
But I think this episode also had one of the funniest parts, because like the basketball team, specifically the guy that tried to ask her out, started this rumor that she's like, how do I want to say this kindly? She messes around with a lot of men. Let's put it that way. And
no, that's
then,
not the case.
Yes, it's not the case. It's just a nasty rumor that the basketball team starts. So the guy that was messing around with her, or like not like that, it was the one that asked her out, and now he's like mad that she didn't go out with him. Shows up to them talking on like the waiting for the train, and he like starts making fun of her so that everyone around is like laughing at her, and then Rascal just like kicks his ass, even though he's like way bigger than him because he's on the basketball team, but kicks his ass, and then like he has this huge thing talking about how he's a virgin. He like screams at the top of his lungs. I found that really funny. But then like the episode progresses, Tomoe's like, yeah, that's not real. Like, I'm a virgin too. And then he's like, yeah, I knew that. And she's like, huh? But I found that whole entire thing really funny. And then it's very clear at the end of the episode that Tomoe really wants to like be with Rascal, but Rascal only has eyes for Mai, so I felt really bad for her, because once again, she is my favorite character so far. So the fact that like that's what she wishes she could do, but it ain't gonna happen because he only has eyes for another lady. Kind of sad.
Another thing that like will happen in a lot of romance animes. You guys will see it a lot. But there'll be a lot of times where there's two love interests and the main character picks one, and then the other one.
Yep.
You'll see.
And it's always the wrong one.
That's not the case. No.
Not always, no.
Oh, in this one it is.
No, my son
no.
is definitely the best.
Yep.
My is so boring.
You just wait until later on.
Yeah, you find out a lot more. In which case,
I also did. She disappeared.
Wow.
Wow, that's messed
I
up.
will say there's one part I did miss that I think Lane may also have overlooked. When Nathaniel was talking about, I believe it was episode 2, and the mother forgetting about Mai. She straight up says, "I don't have a daughter."
I
Even
didn't
if
say
Mai
that part.
disappear, no, but I didn't. I know you clarified, you talked about that a little bit, but I don't think you said anything about that specific phrase. But
Mm.
she does literally say, "I don't have a daughter." Um, if so Lane and I are the only ones that would know this, but even if Mai's invisible to her and doesn't exist to her, that still isn't true because we find out later on Mai has a sister.
Does she? I don't remember if
Yes.
she does.
It's like a stepsister sister. It's a close relative because I remember there's a big episode about her too, but
Okay.
I don't know if it's blood related.
Yeah,
but
I
even
don't think
still,
I don't think it's blood related. I think that's why they got away with
that
it.
she said it
Yeah.
probably because I was about to say I was like, wait a minute, like
The
when I
writer
heard about
forgot.
Yeah.
or they didn't develop that far into
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah.
Because that's like episode like 9 or 10 that we find out about the sister. I think I don't remember how long
Yeah, it's
after it is.
it is a little while after. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, I enjoyed this episode overall. Touching back on what Nathaniel said, I still think the outro is far better than intro. Intro isn't bad overall in music, animation style, very lackluster. Outro is good with the outro video too. It's a little more calm and peaceful, whereas the intro seems very rushed and they're busy and everyone's running and stuff. It was weird, but overall, I think if I had to say. If we did have to continue watching, I would be completely okay with rewatching this anime in total. But what did you, I guess, think of the anime overall, based on those 5 episodes? I guess.
So last week we did kind of a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumb in the middle.
Yeah, we'll
I
do
would
that
definitely-
again. We're gonna do thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, and then we're gonna give it a rating as well.
Oh yeah.
Right. Well,
So
isn't that the part we're to?
yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so last week I gave that one a thumb in the middle, but I definitely think this one's a thumbs up. I thought the very first 3 episodes were definitely intriguing. I'm kind of upset they didn't continue on with that plot line, but I think all in all, like, I'll probably finish this one either in my own time or if we do end up doing like
A revisit.
revisiting it later on. Like I probably definitely will finish this one, just because like based on how you two have been talking about it, it seems like it gets a lot better
Yeah, it
later
gets
on in the show.
some of the adolescent stuff they cover later on. There's like a bunch of big plot twists which you've already heard of. Like one of the biggest one that's coming soon is I won't spoil too much about it, but he's Sakata has mentioned one character that you haven't met yet, and
Oh yeah.
she plays a huge part in a lot of the rest of the show.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. But
So,
yeah,
and then rating wise,
Mhm.
I think I would probably give it an 8 out of 10.
I
did.
will tell you again. Mal has Rascal at 8.27 is what it's ranked.
Yeah,
not too far off then.
I would say 8
Say
is
8.
what I would give
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Now, Aaron, I know you've already visited it, but what is your opinion on it?
I think if in terms of that the thumb scale rating there, I would agree with Nathaniel wholeheartedly. I give this a definite thumbs up, even though this was again the anime that made me retire from watching anime for a long time. But again, I think it honestly helped me revisit more anime and make me want to watch more different genres other than just rom-com, of course. But yeah, I give it a thumbs up. And in terms of the number rating, I agree with I think with Mal as well, and the rating they gave. But I think I'll still keep it an 8. I don't need no fractions or decimals.
Yeah,
and shit.
that's
Just
what I
give
was
me an
thinking
8.
too. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to give it an 8.27.
So
So I'm
give
not
it an
that specific with that shit.
Now, me on the other hand, as you guys know, this is up there on my tier list. I enjoy this very much. I would personally give this probably like an 8.1. I think it's very.
Why are you
good.
giving fractions?
I'm giving the fraction because I'm picky. All right. Actually,
You know what? Fuck it. I'm giving it an 8.05.
Oh, there we go.
Give me an
There.
8.11, and I'm gonna one up Lane a little bit.
Oh,
But yeah.
there we go. But guys, I'm glad we watched that. It was very, very good. But if you guys are listening, you guys are interested. It's a psychological drama with a little bit of romance in there. If that's kind of what.
Little bit.
Okay,
There's a lot.
maybe a lot of bit of romance. But if that kind of interests you or what we talked about interests you, the show does focus on adolescent syndrome and kind of that going. Just know that going into it. But overall, we all think this is a pretty good show. But with that, guys, would you guys like to go watch some more Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai with me?
How about JoJo's?
You're gonna ask that every week, and I'm going to say the same answer every week.
Eventually I'll get you to change. Eventually it'll be a yes.
Maybe that might take a lot of convincing, but
He probably would rather speedrun the whole of One Piece before watching JoJo's.
oh gosh, I don't know if I had to pick between that. I might pick JoJo's. I don't know if I could sit through. I don't know if I could sit through 1,020 episodes. You know how many animes that is? That's literally like all my animes I've seen. Like that's like 100 animes I could watch.
You could do it again.
I would rather not watch 1,000 episodes to finish one anime when I can watch 1,000 episodes and finish 90.
True.
What do you mean?
Guys.
When the one is as good as it is? Actually, I don't know. I've never watched it.
Yeah, I've only watched a few episodes.
Oh gosh. But with that, guys, thank you so much for listening. If you guys would do us a favor and leave us a review on wherever you are watching the podcast via Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, Apple Podcast, whatever it may be, it does help us out a lot. It will allow us to improve. We would really like to hear your guys' feedback and what we can improve on, and if you guys are enjoying the show. Also, if you guys would like to recommend some shows for us to watch and do a review on, we do have a Discord, which will be a link in the show notes for you guys to join up for that if you guys ever want to give us some recommendations. Or you can email us at animeapocalypse22@gmail.com. So feel free to email us with any thoughts or comments for us or any recommendations. But with that, thank you so much for listening.